Okay, guess you want more Digital Circus, huh? So the TADC finale came out on YouTube yesterday. I saw it in theaters the week before, and I took the opportunity to see it again then, right as it premiered. And I thought I'd take the time to throw together a short, quickly thrown together video about my overall thoughts and experiences with the show. This is the mostly positive critic speaking, and with that, let's get into the video. I admit it took me a while to actually get into the show. It took me spoilers for episode 8 on Reddit to actually get involved. No, you can't find me on Reddit anymore because my parents made me delete my account after they found out I had one. So I'm pretty late to the party, but it was a really fun ride. The show has been fun, it's helped me converse with people, and this is coming from an introvert, and it helped me calm down when I had to get surgery on my toes because my nails kept getting ingrown. I promise I'm not making this up. And as someone who has a lot of stories floating around in my head and eventually wants to start my own indie show someday, it gives me hope that I can be able to start it eventually, once I graduate from high school, of course. The show really is a character show, and frankly, there isn't a single character in the show I don't like. I think they're all done well in their different ways. Even though Pomni is treated as more of a way for the viewer to view the story through, I can't help but feel like she had a pretty well done character arc. How she started off traumatized by the circus, but slowly once she becomes closer to everyone else in the circus, she becomes braver and ultimately becomes the biggest help to the majority of the cast. Kane is eccentric and fun with his weirdness, but genuinely is more villainized in the later episodes simply because he doesn't understand the way humans work for the majority of the franchise. Zooble and Gangle are really cute together, and it's neat to see them helping each other with their problems, like Zooble helping pull Gangle back up and comfort her when she's depressed, and Gangle in return helping Zooble become more okay with the way she looks. Despite Kinger's fan favorite status and Ragatha's more controversial stance, I can't help but feel like they're both equally tragic characters with sad stories, like how Kinger lost his wife and was driven mad by spending years alone in the circus, and how Ragatha was abused by her mother and resultantly pretends to be happy all the time and tries her hardest to be nice to everyone, but only because she's broken on the inside. And Jax... oh boy, this is a landmine. I understand why some people think Jax got way too much screen time, but really I think it's because he's the most complex character in the show. It takes more time to unpack the character with more layers, and quite frankly, even though I don't see Jax as one of the show's main characters, if everyone in the show got the exact same amount of character development, people would complain about how Jax's character was rushed. In short, you can't please everyone. So in short, I love this show. I love the experiences I've gotten from it, and to conclude out and show my appreciation for it, here's my thoughts on each individual episode. Pilot. Definitely the worst episode, with a few moments, especially surrounding Kakuma's abstraction, feeling weirdly out of character in hindsight, but considering it isn't even all that bad and is still pretty funny, just shows how great the show is and that it only gets better. I give it a 90. Candy Carrier Chaos. Definitely a step up from the pilot, with some fantastic music and an emotional moment with Gummy Goo. Also, I enjoyed showing his death scene to my family, since I had pretty much the entire show up to episode 8 spoiled for me going in. I give it a 93. The Mystery of Mildenhall Manor. Very deliciously creepy. We start to see hints of Pomni starting to feel a bit more at home around people. Kinger is fantastic. I give it a 94. Fast Food Masquerade. Okay, this is genuinely amazing. I still stand by the fact that Gangle's solo episode was handled the best out of everyone's, and outside of her arc in this episode and the fantastic scene where she takes off the mask and runs away, it's a pretty funny episode that gives all the characters their moments. I give it a 95. Untitled. It starts out funny. But then slowly starts developing more into Ragatha and Jax while getting a lick or two in for Zooble. It's genuinely really well pulled together for how much it tackles, and the intermission scene is one of my favorites from the show. I give it a 96. They all get guns. Even just for Jax's crash out alone, this would get a high rating, but it's also fun, irritating, and thrives in its simple concept, creating a... Does that say why the heck did I write irritating? Anyway, it thrives in its simple concept, creating a great contrast with Untitled. Also, it's got some of the best jokes in the series. I give it a 97. Beach episode. So this is the episode that made me hate the song Digital Days. Great twist ending, I give it a 98. I give up. Spoilers for this episode are what got me into the show. It really is a fantastically written episode with a lot of big revelations. My only tiny nitpick is that it begins with like 10 minutes of flashbacks. It works well in context, but I can't help but feel like it makes the episode feel shorter than it actually is, and that alone keeps it from being a perfect episode. Otherwise fantastic scenery, Kane was legitimately terrifying. I give it a 99. Remember, the finale has been really controversial, with people either loving it or outright despising it. I personally thought it was beautiful and wrapped up every plotline in a satisfying way. I applauded in the theater. I outright applauded. It was merely a good show before this came out, and now I think Remember elevated the show maybe tenfold. Everything it did felt right to me, and so a lot of you are probably going to disagree with me on this, but I give Remember my very first perfect 100 score. And as for the show as a whole, I personally think it's been a very flawless, very well done show that only got better as it went on. It had a teensy bit of a rocky start that's a bit more difficult to revisit, and it may have benefited from more filler, but I think that it's one of the best and most fulfilling shows I've ever seen. At the end of the day, I give it a 99 out of 100. But in the end, this is all just my stupid opinion. If yours differs, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Be sure to like, subscribe, and have a good day. I wrote this entire video while listening to a cat purring ASMR.